Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
All right, and welcome back to another Midday Dash. It's me, your host, Dash. We're going to be talking more cartoons that need movie adaptations. But first off, I want to thank everyone for joining this afternoon. Hope everyone's having a wonderful afternoon. We're going to be talking cartoons. Last week we did the first episode where we talked a little bit about Thundercats. We had Battle of the Planets, lots of different cartoons. But we had a lot of responses on the first video that mentioned something I had forgot. So we got plenty planned. This is the second episode, second installment, if you will. I'm sure there's plenty of cartoons out there. And I tried to hit some of the ones that you guys talked about in the comments, as well as friends that were talking to me that had some. Listen, we already know if you don't see like Voltron, Voltron is in production already. At least that's what I've heard. Henry Cavill is slated to star in a Voltron, so maybe that one is going to come to fruition. Some of the ones that we may be mentioning probably have been mentioned before that were in production, but I haven't seen anything on them. So we might have some that have been at least announced, but not come to any fruition at all. As well as, again, like I said, some of you guys had some great comments in episode 1. You can go catch that on my YouTube, or when you're done with this one, go watch it. And let me know what you think in the comments. Again, at any time during, leave me some comments on if I've missed something. Some of these I've never seen. There's going to be a couple in here that were in the comment section, and I wanted to add it because they talked about it, and I thought I'd give them a shout out. But there's a couple in here I don't know too much about. I know a little bit about them, but thought I'd add it to give some love to the people that were in the comments. So other than that, again, we'll get started here. All this comes about, at least for me, is because I'm we could go online anywhere and people are always talking about Hollywood's running out of ideas or Hollywood's rebooting, and we're getting reboots all over the place. And so here's some ideas that definitely I think would fly, whether they're movies, mainstream movies, whether they go on to Amazon or Netflix or something like that. Some of these could turn into live action TV shows, movies, or even continue on with the animation. I don't care, but I think some of these need film adaptations. And let me know in the thoughts what you think. But before we get started, if you could do me a favor, hit that I would appreciate that if you would hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. Help the channel grow. I'm trying to do my best, and I'm learning as we go. I'm brand new at this, as you can see. I don't know how to get all the bells and whistles, but I'm learning how to download and figure that out. So as we get going, I'm sure the production value will get better. But until then, let's bring up the first one. Like I said, last week we talked about Thundercats. We talked about Thundar the Barbarian, Battle of the Planets. Some of the ones that I liked, Space Ghost. That was some of the ones mentioned. This week we're going to be looking at some of, again, all these are in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and some 90s. I haven't hit any of the 2000s yet, but again, one in the 80s here, Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light. Had these in the toy version. They had the holographic images. You had Leoric, the heroic knight, and I think there was other ones named after Arthur and his round Knights of the Round Table. I just remember the toys more than I do the cartoon, but it still was a good one. Obviously, you can tell it's the 80s, but you had bad guys, and they all their powers came out of their chest with their hologram, and they could take over the animals or whatever they were doing. But we just seem to have so very few, at least in my opinion, so very few fantasy sword and sorcery on the big screen lately. Other, we have had superhero stuff, but I'm talking real sword and sorcery. And I think this would translate good either way, big screen movie, Netflix, Amazon, something like that. But let me know in your thoughts or in the comments about your thoughts. Up next is Centurions. We've had G.I. Joe, we've had Transformers. Centurions, why not? You got Ace McCloud, Jake Rockwell, Max Ray, all have the different powers or their combinations of their uniforms, depending on what their element is. Obviously, Ace McCloud is the sky. Jake Rockwell, land, and Max Ray was the sea. But you have a Doc Terror, I think, is a great bad guy. But again, we've had tons of sci-fi out there. This would be a great one, I think, and a big screen movie for this, I think, would go well. If you can do G.I. Joe and Transformers, you can do Centurions. But up next, this one was mentioned on one of my polls that I had. Darkwing Duck. I watched Darkwing Duck. I'm a DuckTales Darkwing Duck fan. That was right as I was getting out of high school and everything. I'm a huge nerd. I've watched cartoons my entire life, but this is when those come around. So, I will never be ashamed to say that I've watched cartoons, and I still watch cartoons. But Darkwing Duck, I don't know. Do you think, how would this work? That's the question. I have no problem putting it, but do you think it would be? Do you still want it animated? You remember back in the 80s, we had Howard the Duck. Would you do it something like that? But I'm curious to hear what you guys think on this one. I think you could still pull off a great movie or a serial or short on Amazon, Netflix, something like that. But I think you could pull it off, and it's just Batman-esque. If you could do Batman, why not Darkwing Duck? I think it would be a good one. But Matthew, if you're out there watching, thank you for this suggestion. I appreciate that one. This one has me curious, and I only put it on here because I want to, like I said, I want to give some love to the people that were answering the poll questions and everything like that. But I think it would work. Gargoyles. Now here you go. I know Disney owns it, but this one, man, if you could do this in Game of Thrones style or House of the Dragon style on Max or whatever the case may be, but live action, no cartoons, no animation. If you get great makeup artists and people, or the CGI or whatever you have to do, this would make a great limited series or go on for a couple of years, as we saw with Game of Thrones. But with Goliath, Demona, Broadway, Bronx, Lexington, all of them. And then you got Xanatos, such a great bad guy. And then you bring in all the other bad guys that they had throughout. I think this one would work television style. But I mean, I'm not going to complain if there's a movie either. I know they've had an animated movie. This is live action. That's why I stress that. But I think Gargoyles would translate so well into a TV show, and man, you could get it going for a couple of years, especially if you get the right story. Elisa Mata, man, some great characters, and you can touch on so many things. You delve into the mythos and mythology of Greek mythology, Roman mythology, all that, which is what the cartoon touched on. I think you would be well to do here with this Gargoyles. I think it would be great. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to hear what you think. Is it wrong to do this one? Is it a great idea, bad idea? Let me know. All right, this is another one that was voted on. Well, I shouldn't say voted on. It was mentioned a lot in the comments of my last one. I don't know. I know a little bit about Robotech. Obviously, it was more of the toys that I can recall seeing. But there was an anime in the 70s and 80s, I believe. If we're going to do Battle of the Planets or we're going to do Voltron, you might as well have Robotech. Again, it's if you can do Transformers, and that was some of the arguments being made for Robotech. But sure, why not? I don't want to talk about too much on it, because I don't know a whole lot about Robotech. So if you guys are watching this, let me know in the comments, how could they do it? What would you rather see, a live screen or a live action movie, or would you rather see, again, like we just talked about with Gargoyles, would you rather see a live action television series on Max or Amazon or something like that? But again, if you can do Battle Planets, Voltron, Transformers, you can do Robotech, and I would rather see it live action than animated. But either way, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. So let's move on to the next one. Another one that was brought up in the last video I did, part 1, in the comments, was the Adventures of Galaxy Rangers. I remember a little bit of this growing up. I don't think I ever watched too much of it. I was more of a Brave Star fan, and things like that. And we'll bring Brave Star in later down the road. But Adventures of Galaxy Rangers. So I found some cartoon, or found some episodes on YouTube that I'll go watch later to get more caught up on this one. But was perusing around, looking at it. I think this is fantastic. I like the space, on different planets, but you still have the cowboy Western theme. I think this is great. So let me know more in the comments below. I'll do more research on these. We're just doing right now. I don't want to get too much into the history of everything. We'll do separate breakdown videos after I've watched more of them. But let me get your thoughts on this. Is this a good one that I should continue watching, or should I not even try to go watch on or find episodes and watch them? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, listen. This is the one where you guys are going to give me a hard time, I'm sure. I am a huge DC fan. Well, I like Marvel, but I'm a huge DC fan. And though we had Justice League, we had the Snyder Justice League, like it or hate it, it was still out there. But I think you could pull off, even if this is animated, even if because I know DC does better animation at times than they do, obviously, do some big screen. Still, I like watching the DC movies. You can come at me later and tell me how wrong I am about the DC movies, but still, even if you did this animated, I think you could do such a great job. This was one of the best ones when I was growing up, and stayed home from school when I was sick or anything like that. This show was always on in the mornings, or obviously came on the weekends as well. But this was the best one because you had all of them: Superman, Green Lantern, Batman, Wonder Woman. Then you had the Hanna-Barbera. They put their own characters in there with Black Vulcan, Apache Chief, and Samurai. El Dorado, I think he showed up a little bit in this one. He might have come after. But what I like best about this one is it wasn't generic bad guys. You got Lex Luthor, you got Gorilla Grodd, you got Solomon Grundy, the Riddler, Black Manta. The only thing missing, obviously, was the Joker. I don't know why they couldn't get the Joker in there. But you had Brainiac, Toyman, all the great villains. And I thought this was so well done. And I know they've done, I know there's DVDs of like Doom. I think there's Superman Doom or Justice League Doom. I know there's a video of that out there, but I want to see, maybe harken back to this. And a live action, I think, would be great. That's just me. This is wishful thinking. It probably will never be done, and I understand that. But this is one that I would like to see. I like to slip some of the ones that I like in there, and I think this could be done rather well. And if you get the right director, who knows what James Gunn's going to do? I don't know. Obviously, we've got Superman coming up. They just finished casting for all the Green Lantern. We'll see. You never know where that road might take us. We could somewhere down the road see Challenge of the Super Friends. So let me know. Would you like to see that, or is this a no-go for you guys? Let me know. Wacky Races is another one. This is a spinoff from the Perils of Penelope Pitstop. Just a racing. This would be a great week-to-week TV show, in my opinion. You got Penelope Pitstop, the Anthill Mob, Dick Dastardly, and Muttley. So you've got all your good guys and bad guys there, and week in, week out different races and things like that. or do it in the style of Fast and the Furious. I don't care. You have a shot here to, instead of doing Fast and Furious, do wacky races. And you don't have to make it funny, or you can make it a little bit of a comedy, but make it a drama as well. You've got plenty of great characters out there, and you don't have to necessarily use Caveman or Paul Rugg and the Bear. You can do a lot of different ones out there. So I'd like to see it, and that's just me. Another one I slipped in there. Again, we got another superhero one in the Blue Falcon and Dynamite. If you've seen some of the old 60s, 70s Hanna-Barbera, Blue Falcon and Dynamite have been around as long as Scooby-Doo's been around for the most part. And I think he was in. He might have been in Scoob. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen that, but I know they've done some updates of Blue Falcon and with Scooby-Doo shows, but on its own. And I think this would be a great live action. And you've already got the precedent set with all the other superhero movies. You don't have to make him as goofy as some of the cartoons did. He's kind of a mixture between Superman and Batman, more Batman, but Dynamite, the dog wonders. He's got all the gadgets, and I think this would make a great live action. And again, you can tie it into some of the ones we talked about last week, Space Ghost. You can have your cinematic universes, the Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe. I don't know why we haven't thought of this before, but somebody needs to get on it that's out there. But let me know what you think. Have you even heard of Blue Falcon and Dynamite? If you haven't, let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, though. And last, but not least, for me, I know this was in talks back in 2015. I was doing some research as far as I know that somebody had talked about wanting to do it. They even had a writer's room built up, but somewhere down the road it broke down. So that's why I added this one. Again, you could add it. I don't know if you add it to the. They're all part of Hasbro, or they used to. Or this might have been Mattel, but I think Hasbro has the rights to Mask now. I know they're getting ready to create some or bring them back to the toy shelves. I just heard an announcement about that. They'll be the same size. Although I would like to see them in classified G.I. Joe classified scale, the 6-inch scale. They made a specialist tracker for the 25th anniversary scale of G.I. Joe. But you got Matt Tracker, Miles Mayhem, Bruce Sato, and then the transforming cars. So, again, you tie it into the G.I. Joe Transformers universe. You have your cinematic universe. You start building it up from there. That is if we could get an actual great G.I. Joe. And I don't dislike G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra or G.I. Joe Retaliation. I thought those were really great movies in my opinion, but I'm a G.I. Joe freak, G.I. Joe fan, 100%. Snake Eyes, not so much. I wasn't so fond on that, and it's because you called it Snake Eyes Origin and you didn't even use the origin that Larry Hama gave us, or the comics gave us with Snake Eyes not even being able to talk. Does that translate well into? I mean, they did it in Retaliation and Rise of Cobra. So why can't you do it with G.I. Joe Origins? I don't know. So we'll find out. But yeah, I think Mask would be great. And all of these could tie into a fantastic cinematic universes. If you go back and check some of the ones I did in the first video, you'll see how some of these tie in. And that's kind of what I'm trying to work on some of the stuff as I work on these videos and picking out and listening to you guys and hearing what you guys want to see. We got more coming down the road. I've already working on 3 and 4, parts 3, parts 4, because you guys gave me a lot of great ideas in the last video, and I just want to see how far we can go with it. Again, I'm a movie lover. I'm a cartoon lover, as you can see there under my name. And if you're going to sit there and I don't want to say complain. If you're going to sit there and say that Hollywood can't come up with anything or any ideas, well, there are ideas out there. I'm also working on a comic comic books that haven't been made over to movies adaptations. I'm working on books as well as a couple of other things and reboots. So if there's a movie adaptation that you want to see, whether it's book, movies, comics, cartoons, please let me know in the comments, and I'll work on a video for that again. It's just some of the ones that I want. I know there's tons of cartoons out there I'm working on. There's a lot from the 60s that I've missed, 70s, 80s, 90s. We'll start working our way into the 2000s. I don't know if I'll go hardly past the 2000s, but because they're still relatively new. I'm trying to still stay with the retro and vintage cartoons. But yeah, let me know if there's anything that I missed. Let me know down in the comments. But again, if you stuck with me this long, please hit that and help the channel grow. Please give a thumbs up, share it out. And if there's other videos, I try to stick with a lot of pulp culture and cartoons and things from the 70s, 80s. I'm working on another best albums covers one. I've got that, or I believe that's uploaded on my lives. If you haven't seen some of my lives, go check that out. I'm working all the time. I'm trying to start getting to post more frequently. So let me know in the comments what you would like to see, and I would appreciate it. Other than that, have a great rest of your day. We'll see you out there in the world, and we'll be back next week with another video. And hopefully, as I said, we'll be back with a couple of videos next week and posting more often. So I appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Don't forget, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next show.